then there were two.
I was about to say, like, to think about, okay, do I want to actually log off? But then, no, okay, yeah. Sure, let's just bullshit for like
for the next 6.5 hours until dawn breaks. Yeah, so, I was meaning to ask you, like, what are you streaming tonight? Are you done for the night?
No, I'm probably gonna stream for like an hour or something, maybe a couple. I have Final Fantasy IV is
oh, nice.
Is the game currently
cranking away.
I've been currently cranking out, and since I do not, I'm actually at the very end. Yeah, I'm actually kind of at the end of the game.
Nice.
And the thing I was considering was to I just do a little bit of grinding, because it just like I tried entering the final dungeon of the game, and it kicked my butt last like it was not good.
Yeah, grind up some XP before you.
So yeah, actually, since in this game you can actually grind up XP.
That's awesome.
Yeah, this is actually like I actually already set up. I'm setting up this stream to have to like if you want to, like, if you quickly tune into the channel, you can see what my stream looks like when I'm streaming a Nintendo DS game.
Wait, which chat?
On if you tune into my stream, you can actually see what the stream looks like when I'm actually doing doing a Nintendo DS video game.
Yeah.
It's
what's your
it's the red mage, but the E in red is a 3 instead of
because it's 1994.
Because the red mage without any lead speak was taken. Look.
And you're streaming on Twitch?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, there we go.
Yeah, alright.
Oh wait, no, this is old. That's 3 hours ago. Where's your...
Maybe. Let me
Should
just...
be up of the...
Am I somehow not live?
You may not be live.
No, I'm 100% live. I think you're on the wrong channel. Let me...
I can see clearly you. These are all of your streams. So bizarre. If I type something into the stream chat... Oh, it won't let me do that because I'm not logged in. Now I'm going to have to remember my Twitch password. Alright, this may be a multi-step process.
I sent in the stupid separate chat in the thing. I sent you a thing. Also, people are probably hearing echo because I have my stream open.
Let me fix all this.
Also, people are probably hearing echo because. While you do that, I'm quickly updating the stream information.
Because I'm probably going to have to send a confirmation email. Because I have no idea. Like, all passwords are two-part authentication if you never fucking remember any of your passwords.
if you have to get the confirmation email every single time. I have faith in you, Steven.
That is clearly misplaced.
What the fuck is this thing?
What are you fighting now?
there's some sort of like giant worm thing that showed up that I've never seen before. It appears to be holding a beast worm.
Horrifying.
It is not good. It's like bright red and then this like purple. You know what? Actually, I'm just gonna send you a quick screenshot because this is like actually just horrifying. Where are you?
Alright, confirmation email sent. Just need to get verified. It will be live. Oh, you can't copy paste? Oh, good. Okay.
I'm hoping that by the time we're done here, I will have. By the time you're done, I will have killed this thing. But it does have a lot of HP.
So now I'm logged in, and I still can't see. What is happening?
I can guarantee you that I'm live. Like, are you going to?
Oh, there we go. Oh, okay. I was just being an idiot. Yeah, I can.
Okay, it's dead.
That is a truly terrifying.
I know.
Somehow, I'm not getting feedback in spite of the fact that I am definitely listening to you through 2 streams.
That might be that your audio is low. Say something?
There we go.
Yeah, your audio is very low.
Check. Oh, weird.
Let me.
Was it low before?
Apparently. But I think mine is also pretty low, so I guess that. Let me.
Oh, right. And in Hangouts, you can't modify.
No, it's not like Discord where you can modify things individually. How do I?
That's stick. Yeah, because Zoom also lets you do that, and it's super granular.
Yeah. It's so
not
much
only
better.
do they let you do it, but it has a clipping meter, which is like totally awesome.
Oh, that sounds great.
Yeah, so that way you can actually like really dial it in. It's not just, well, that sounds like enough. Of course, literally no one does that but me, but you know.
The problem that I have right now is that it's really hard to make it so that you, like, I can easily lift your volume, but then also the volume of the music will be...
Right, will become completely deafening.
Yeah, so, I don't know. This is probably... I'm sure people can hear you.
We'll put like... I'm trying to see if there's like a third-party app that I can download that will let me like just put a vocal compressor on Zoom meetings, because when we're using Zoom, we're not just using it for like to have a meeting, but to do like, you know, distance learning and stuff. And a lot of times we do that live, and like we'll have a host, whoa, terrifying, who will like be hosting it, and then they're also talking to someone who's like, you know, on site doing some kind of interpretation. And like, so that means one person is basically sitting there talking directly into their mic, and the other person is like screaming.
This might actually work in terms of... Say something?
Hello?
Okay, I think I actually meant... Oh shit, I'm getting attacked like crazy. But yeah, I think I successfully managed to make you a little louder than the game.
Oh, good.
I'm afraid that this might have completely fucked my audio settings for the next time I stream, but I don't care. Oh my god, that feels like it. Oh, this thing's up ether. That's pretty good. You can't buy ethers in this game. it's this thing. I never encountered this thing. Oh, by the way, we're on the moon right now. Just so that you're aware. You know, just to set the stage. Currently on the moon. But yeah, this is the game I've been playing for the last couple months. Oh, Rydia with the Paralyzed. Rydia is so good. This is the game I've been playing for the last couple months at this point. No, it's actually been less than that. It's probably been closer to like a month. It's number 3 for me in the Final Fantasy ranking, so I've been pretty stoked that... You still there?
Yes.
Okay, sorry.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, no, I can hear you fine. You just didn't say anything for a while, and I was like,
Sorry.
wait, what's happening?
I'm trying to figure out like exactly the best way to set this up because I'm getting a little bit of delay.
Oh, from like the video. I mean, there isn't too much you can do in terms of like getting video delay, honestly.
Yeah.
Really, you missed. But yeah, no, that is probably the best way that you can do is to just mute the stream.
Yeah, because the stream is like our conversation is in real time.
Yeah, the stream is gonna be delayed, but just mute it. Also, that means you don't have to hear yourself again. But yeah, I think that my current Final Fantasy ranking in terms of my favorite goes something like 6 is King, followed by 7, followed by 4.
Okay.
So that's pretty high praise.
6 is the top of the rank.
Yeah, 6 in my experience is top of the rank, which is a control. I think most people have 7 at the top of the rankings. 7 is an amazing game. I think I like 6 better, but I mean 6 is also an amazing game.
It also depends on where you entered the series. I mean, you're always going to have a soft spot in your heart for where you came in, and not everybody started from the very beginning because this is a seriously long-running series now. At this point.
Yeah, it is. My favorite part is that the reason it's called Final Fantasy is that it was actually kind of a tongue-in-cheek name because Square, the company that makes Final Fantasy, was failing. So they were like, okay, we're gonna push out this game, and that's probably gonna be our last game because that's probably gonna be it. So yeah, this is our Final Fantasy, and then the game was like a huge success.
Yeah, that's amazing. I didn't know that.
And they became arguably at the time the second best company in terms of role-playing games. Role-playing games after Enix, and then they merged with Enix a few years down the line. Enix being the company that makes the Dragon Quest games, which was there was this huge rivalry at the time between Final Fantasy and Dragon Quest.
And then there was no rivalry.
Yeah, then there was a rivalry because they were the same company.
I didn't know that. That's awesome. Especially, I love, it is really funny when you're looking at some of this early stuff. I definitely have a soft space in my heart for, some of the early video games where people were just, trying to figure out how anything worked. And a lot of the studios were really small back then.
Oh yeah, you had a handful of people trying to make. So I watched a video today, actually, about the guy that was discussing the possibility, this thing called boot sector games, where basically the idea being, when you put a floppy disk, for example, in your computer, specifically one of the sectors. One of the partitions, the thing is sector D, which is 512 bytes big, has is the boot sector, and that basically that means that when you put the floppy disk in, it tells your computer, hey, so this is this is a floppy disk. This is what you're supposed to do with this.
Right.
Well, you can actually put a game in that space.
Okay.
So that when the computer attempts to load this floppy, instead the game launches.
Okay. But it would have to be really small.
Yeah, it can be 512 bytes.
Right. I have never even heard of this, but it sounds amazing.
Yeah.
But like I love some of those early games because, because the studios were so tiny, they didn't have, like, they had access to like zero resources at all.
Oh yeah.
So motion cap for them was like taking a digital photograph and then just degrading it down to however many pixels they were able to use, and then just like reworking that into a sprite.
Yep.
And one
That's
of my
how Mortal Kombat was made, right?
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And like Rise of the Triad was made that way.
In fact, in Mortal Kombat's case, the number of resources was so slim that they actually reused some of the same sprites multiple times, just by palette swapping them.
And so in that game, in Rise of the Triad, like one of the main bosses, like the Dr. Destructo or whatever his name was supposed to be in like a powered like hover chair, which is basically, it's just an office chair that they cut out cardboard and like taped it on there. And then they wanted him to have controls that he could make it look like, the chair was doing something. So they just like glued a stapler to each arm of the chair, and then he would like work the staplers back and forth, and they would take pictures. And he was like, while they were doing this, he stapled himself in the hand.
As you do.
As you do, yeah. Yep. So that was how rough and ready those early games were. Like, nobody knew what they were doing. And especially, like, Rise of the Triad was basically just a Doom reskin.
Yeah.
I think it used the same engine, and they just reskinned it so that you fought Nazis.
I think that's Castle Wolfenstein. Rise of the Triad, I don't think you fight Nazis in Rise of the Triad.
You definitely fight Nazis in Rise of the Triad.
You do?
Especially in the early levels. Yeah, it's like all like very literal Nazis.
Don't you fight like the Triad?
It gets super like supernatural after the first couple of levels, but
right.
In early levels it's definitely like Nazi guys in Nazi uniforms with Nazi helmets on.
Sure. Okay, so by the way, this game, Final Fantasy IV, I think is the first Final Fantasy where you play and the game just goes off the rails in terms of plot.
Nice. It's what they're
completely becoming absurd has become kind of like a staple of JRPGs as you go through them. But like, I think in this game, out of the Final Fantasy, so like, Final Fantasy 1 is kind of this generic tale of like, there's this like crystals, and you have to like save the crystals, and there's this thing, and you kill this being called Chaos at the end, which turns out to be, but like it's not like, there's like a little bit of a plot twist at the end, but it's like pretty reasonable. Like, the sound is basically Star Wars.
Sure.
Which is a plot that a lot of Final Fantasies have revisited, but like, Evil Empire, you face them. Turns out at the end that they have like, there's like something supernatural behind the main bad guys, but like that's mostly kind of fighting the oppression of some sort of Evil Empire. Final Fantasy 3 kind of goes back to Final Fantasy 1, it's very cliche. There's these crystals, you have to like protect them because they hold the balance of the world or whatever. Here is the plot of Final Fantasy IV. And by the way, I'd like to point out that you don't get to learn that this is the plot actually Like, there's some hints dropped here and there,
Okay.
but they don't learn that this is the actual plot of the game until like 80% in. So, a few millennia ago, there was this planet called, if I remember correctly, the Red Planet. That's what they called it.
Okay.
And this
Creative.
planet was about to blow up. For reasons.
Okay.
There was some sort of catastrophe going on. So its inhabitants were like, well, we don't want to blow up, so we'll just all move somewhere else. They search for a while, they find a planet that is suitable to sustain them, which is called the Blue Planet. They called it the Blue Planet, which is the planet where this story takes place.
Okay.
And they move there. But it turns out that the planet is like, civilization doesn't exist yet. It's still like, basically like Stone Age level people. And they're like, well, I mean, we could live in this place as basically gods because we're an actual civilization.
Right.
And these guys are like, Stone Age idiots. But we don't want to do that. That's not kind of what we're going for here. So here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna build a second moon. And then we're gonna build and then inside we're gonna build a huge like hibernation thing, and we're gonna go all hibernate for a few thousand years until these guys have an actual civilization and they're ready to host us on their planet as equal.
Okay.
Okay.
That seems like an enormous amount of work to go through instead of just finding another habitable planet. But go on.
Look, it's fine. Maybe this one was closed and the other habitable planets weren't. I don't know.
If you have the ability to build an entire moon, couldn't you just live on that?
Well, there's magic. I'm not gonna tell you how magic works, right? Like, maybe the moon works in such a way that... don't worry about it, is what I'm trying to say.
Invisible limitations.
Yes. So, anyway, they build the moon, and they all go to sleep, and they elect a set of two brothers called Kluya and Fuzoya to basically stay on guard. When the Earthling civilization has reached a point where they're civilized enough, wake everybody up and be like, hey, it's fine, we can go to Earth now. Except that nobody was in on this plan. There was a guy called Zemus, and he was like, okay, your plan is all well and good, but we could also just murder everybody?
There's always one.
And then we have, an empty planet, then we don't have to worry about all this bullshit. We can just live on the planet that's now empty.
Right. We don't have to wait.
Yeah. And, obviously...
This guy has burned his mouth on 1,000 Hot Pockets.
And everybody was like, no, what the fuck, Zemus, shut up and go to sleep. And they forced him to go into hibernation with everybody else. Well, it turns out that didn't prove to be a great idea, because...
okay. If you take an evil guy and you freeze him, that's like the plot of 9 million sci-fi movies.
His will was so strong that even through hibernation, he started to influence... other, people. Also, about, a few decades ago, Kluya, one of the two people that were supposed to, stay on the moon and tell everybody when things are good to go, was like, okay, you know what? Being on the moon by yourself is fucking boring. So here is what we're gonna do. You stay here, Fuzoya. We need somebody on the moon to keep track. I'm gonna build a freaking airship. And I'm gonna go to Earth, and I'm gonna spend my time with people while on Earth, and then when we're ready to go, and check if they're ready to go from Earth, and we don't need to be on the moon to check that. I mean, I imagine at that point Fusue was like, but then I'm like by myself. That sucks. But he didn't say anything. So Kruya goes to Earth, and he hangs out on Earth, and then he has, like after a while he falls in love, settles down, has a couple of kids, the usual. There's some sort of tragedy. Kruya dies, but like his spirit kind of lives on because reasons. Oh, you can notice here, which we haven't encountered before, Cthulhu's hairdryer.
Oh my god.
So there's some tragedy. So Kruya dies. Cecilia, which was his wife, dies, giving birth to his second son, and so there's only the kids now. And it turns out that the main character of the game, Cecil, is one of those two kids, where the other, the guy that proves to be the main antagonist for most of the game, Golbez, is the other one of those kids, and there's some shenanigans. But essentially what's happening is that Golbez get mind controlled by Zemus, by the will of Zemus.
Okay.
So now Golbez has been trying to basically take a series of action that would cause the awakening of a weapon of mass destruction called the Giant of Babel that was designed to wipe all life on the blue planet. I don't know why or how it was designed. That falls under the don't worry about it category, but
right.
because like if the Lunarian didn't want to wipe out all the life on the blue planet, why did they build a weapon capable of doing so? Or
just in case.
Was it part of the planet? Did it predate humanity? The planet just had these. Had a nuclear option built in, because, like, for example, in Final Fantasy VII, there is this theme that Final Fantasy VII is a game that has a lot of like environmentalistic themes. So
okay.
a theme that comes out is that the planet in the game like is actually a living entity. That has its own life, and
the old Gaia theory.
Yeah, like, and basically, once the planet is under attack because the bad guy does some stuff, it turns out, the planet is actually capable of waking up these objects called weapons, all caps, that basically their job is to protect it in a variety of ways. But like, so for example, is like kind of the same thing where its job was to protect, like it's basically something that was built in within the planet. Did the humans create it? Where did humans find the technology to create it? Either way, there is a Giant of Babel, which is this weapon of mass destruction. So basically, Golbez's goal since the beginning has been to try and wake this thing up. We didn't know that at the beginning. Like at the beginning of the game, we're kind of taking random actions,
sure,
following orders and doing other stuff, until we realize that wait, there's some shenaniganery going on. we need to stop that. But yeah, like for example, when the game begins, Cecil, the main character, is actually a Dark Knight, and there is like this whole section of the game where that is dedicated to you stopping being a Dark Knight and becoming a Paladin, which, and atoning for your sins and whatnot.
This is an extremely complex plot. This is like Shakespeare meets sci-fi.
I mean, look, like, to be fair, the game looks pretty linear.
Well, a lot.
And then-
I mean, that is a feature of a lot of JRPGs. You know, they
Yeah, like-
have that linearity.
Like, you kind of are told, like, you know, okay, like, it makes sense for most of the games. Like, okay, we did X, and now the next logical thing is doing Y, right? Like, that checks out. But then, like, you meet Fusoya for the first time, like, I don't know, like 40 hours into the game, and he drops on you all of this stuff about, yeah, like you're half alien, and there is all this stuff going on, and also
Just thought you should know. Yeah.
Golbez isn't really evil because there is this guy that has been like mind controlling him all along, and it's a whole thing.
I like, one of my favorite things about sci-fi, like, someone was describing science fiction to me like, this was years and years and years ago, and they were talking about, like, the best thing about sci-fi is that it allows you to do the exact same things. Like, there are two types of sci-fi, right? There are science fiction that is basically just the same exact stuff that we've been doing for 1,000 years of literature over again, right? And then there's this other branch of sci-fi that is just like the most insane, drug-addled, like beyond human comprehension, and gazing into the void.
Yeah, there is no middle ground with sci-fi.
Right,
I'm definitely
and
with
there
you.
isn't. Like, there really isn't. There's nothing that bridges that gap except for Final Fantasy.
Final Fantasy is more like, it's a fantasy series, right? It's not. It has a
much science fiction.
Well,
I mean, there
it
really
depends on the
isn't a
game, right?
difference.
Because like part of the thing is
Right.
just that different like the different Final Fantasy games don't take place in the same universe. In fact,
right.
for example, there are a few things which are called like, there is a thing called Final Fantasy X-2. Because the
Yes.
joke was they made a second game in the Final
I've
Fantasy X universe, so they wanted to make sure.
That it wasn't Final Fantasy 11.
No, it wasn't
so
Final
people
Fantasy
wouldn't-
11. It was the
Right.
second game in the Final Fantasy X universe. So like,
This is a completely logical and
Yeah.
horrifying decision.
in fact, Final Fantasy IV, the game I'm playing right now, was the first game to have a sequel. It was
Okay.
called Final Fantasy IV: The After Years.
Okay. Because of course it was.
Yeah, and then I don't think 5 or 6 ever had sequel. 7 has had.
But see,
7 is complicated.
right. And
So-
as an historian, it is really fascinating to see, like, a lot of times, like, we look back at great literary works, or we even look back at, you know, lost literary works that have only recently been possible to translate, and they're really complicated, right? Because there's 65,000 versions, because the work ended up getting scattered all across the ancient world, and people rewrote it, and people added little bits that they liked, or took out big chunks that they didn't. And so it's like, man, this is really complicated and really hard to understand. And then you look at the Final Fantasy games, which not only were created like within living memory, but were created in the last like 35 years of living memory.
at least like in terms of chronology, like at least Final Fantasy is like, okay, every game is its own thing, right? There is no
Right.
So when I said 7 is complicated, what I meant is 7 is a game that came out for PlayStation 1.
Okay.
It was followed by Final Fantasy VII Crisis Core, which is a game
Right.
that came out on mobile.
Okay.
Like it was an episodic game that came out on phones in Japan. I don't know
Wait,
how it was distributed in the United States.
After the PS1?
Japan was ahead of its time. I don't know.
Clearly. Goodness gracious.
I don't know exactly, but like it didn't come out immediately.
Okay.
Followed by Final Fantasy VII Advent Children, which was a movie.
I remember that one. I saw that in theaters.
It came out in theaters? I didn't even know.
No, I saw that in. Not only did I see that in theaters, I saw that with Josh.
So I know that there was a Final Fantasy movie that came out in theater. It was called.
No, it was Advent Children.
But
yeah, absolutely.
Okay, I didn't know it came out in theater.
Wait, let me and you know, it's not like I grew up in LA. Let me make sure. Advent Children. Well, I'm gonna look up some screenshots here,
Sure.
and see if this is actually the movie that I'm remembering. It is not.
Okay, so you watched The Spirits Within.
Spirits Within. That's the one that came out.
Yeah. That makes more sense.
I mean, I have seen Advent Children, but it was probably this was like years after.
Yeah, I don't know that Advent Children ever came out in.
Okay. No.
In theater in the States.
I was wrong. You're totally right. But regardless.
Yeah, and then they made a PS2 game called Dirge of Cerberus, which was like kind of a different thing that was about one of the minor characters from Final Fantasy VII, Vincent.
Okay.
So that is what they made, and not a remake in it, right. Which looks sweet.
Is that the most recent remake?
I mean, there's one came out this year.
Yeah. What's that one?
They remade the game. So they remade the game. They changed the character system quite a bit.
Okay.
It's also like, obviously they improved the graphics and whatnot.
Oh yeah, but I mean, people seem pretty tickled about it. So
I haven't played it, so I don't know.
But no spoilers.
Yeah. They seem to have done a reasonably good job? ? Which, like it was delicate, right? Like this was one of the most revered games of all time. So like,
there's no way you're gonna make everybody happy.
Yeah, but like, there was a very easy possibility of doing a very half-assed. Like, if you don't do a perfect job, people are gonna be very unhappy about it. But it seems like they did actually a good job. Like, people from what I have seen, from what I've talked to, seem happy. If part 2 comes out, I might consider trying to play that one instead of the original FF7.
Yeah,
because I've been trying to make. So what I'm doing with this thing, I've been actually trying to play every single Final Fantasy VII game in a row.
Okay.
I
like that.
All of the mainline ones. So like 1, 2, 3.
Right.
Blah, 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 blah. I'm not like playing like
You're not gonna have to like buy some insane emulator of a Japanese cell phone from 1997.
Yeah, I'm not gonna do that. But I mean, I'm sure that Crisis Core has been distributed in some way, shape, or form.
I am sure somebody ported that to something.
Yeah, it's just a matter of like, I don't know how. I never actually played the game. I've heard it's fine. But yeah, like, that is the... Like, for example, even this game, right? The original Final Fantasy IV was a SNES game. It wasn't a Game Boy DS game. Sorry, a Nintendo DS game. What I'm doing is I've been trying to make it so that for all games I try to play a version that isn't the version I'm most familiar with.
Okay, that makes sense.
Just to like spice it up a little bit. So I've been
Yeah.
trying to make it so that, for example,
Add a little challenge in there.
yeah.
Yeah.
And I found, for example, this version they did a pretty good job. I found it's
There are so many games that, you know, from the old days that just really need to be preserved, because, you know, even if they're like right on the edges of what people were playing, you know, I was not playing a lot of popular games early in my video game career because it was sort of whatever I could beg, borrow, and steal in terms of like shareware and game demos and all that kind of stuff. And certainly there was no internet to help me. So like I have really positive memories about some games that are they're so peripheral that most people have never even heard of them, right? You know, Rise of the Triad is a great example. Terminal Velocity, I don't know anybody who played Terminal Velocity. I've never met another human being that played Terminal Velocity.
I've never
It was
heard
one of my
about that game.
favorite flying games. What's that?
I don't think I've heard about that game. So
Yeah, exactly. What's the other one that I thought was just stellar and nobody's heard of? I mean, this one at least like has a couple of fan pages, but Ishar 3 and the 7 Gates of Infinity.
Okay, no, I've never heard of that one either.
So like this is what I'm talking about. Like,
I mean, Rise of the Triad is a game that is at least known about, like, you know.
yes, I have
Partly, like, it was famous enough to be remade, right? Like,
Yeah.
at some point, so...
I have met another living human played Rise of the Triad.
Oh, Rydia
Yeah.
with the Paralyze! Rydia's so
But-
good!
I have never met any other like living, breathing human that has even heard of Ishar 3 and the 7 Gates of Infinity. Which is ridiculous because it was a really good game, and it was my first sort of introduction to fantasy roleplay, because it was entirely based around basically just a shoddily reproduced sort of D&D system, and you could tell that it was made by like 10 folks in their basements. But it
To
was
nerds.
yeah, but it was interesting and it was compelling, and like there were, it wasn't solitaire.
that is fair.
and they had these great and then there was a huge variety in the characters because they were basically just like knocking these characters out as quickly as they could, and the characters in your party could die, so they needed like
it's like a Fallen Emblem. It's like a not Fallen Fire Emblem type thing.
Yeah, like they needed dozens of characters so that you could fill out a roster. And they had all these characters and all these really cool weapons, and the money system worked pretty well, and yeah, it was just it was a neat game. And it had a great opening sequence with like a CGI dragon flying up to a castle, like in days when that was not something that you saw in a lot of video games. And it was basically, if I'm remembering this correctly, and of course it's been 30 years, but it was a 2D dragon sprite for the body, and then the wings were like semi-computer animated to sort of fly roughly. It was really cool for that era.
So
I hadn't seen anything.
You think that the sequence of Final Fantasy is complicated? All of the Legend of Zelda games, outside of the very last one, technically take place within the same chronology.
Right.
It turns out that, and but they're not also like they're very far out of like chronological order. Like,
how far out of chronological order?
yeah, let's just get into it. The first game to be the game that takes part first in the series is Skyward Sword, which I believe is the second to last game that came out. I think that's Skyward Sword. Yeah, it came out in 2011.
Okay.
The second game that takes place is the Minish Cap. That came out in 2005.
Okay.
Followed by Four Swords, which is kind of like this short spin-off that came out in 2007, I think.
Okay.
Oh, no, way earlier, 2003. After Four Swords, you have Ocarina of Time. And Ocarina of Time is a very important title in the. It's a very important title in the franchise. Ocarina of Time comes out in 1992. Is a Nintendo 64 game, and basically, Ocarina of Time is a game that involves time travel.
Right.
So, after Ocarina of Time, there are 3 timelines that Zelda games can take place in.
Okay.
There is the original timeline. So basically, the way that the Ocarina of Time works is that at a certain point, your character goes forward in time. Because it turns out that, like, you fulfill all the prophecies, you are the hero or whatever, but you're a child. So the game just was like, okay, we'll skip you forward in time when you're an adult, and then we'll fix this later, it's fine, don't worry about it. So,
right.
because they need it now. So here basically, at that point there are 3 timelines that fall. There is the child timeline, which is the timeline that basically takes over from after Link beats Ganon, and he's sent back to before this whole nonsense with Ganon happened.
Okay.
And that is a timeline where basically the world never went to shit. There is the adult Link timeline, which is a timeline where basically takes over from after Link gets sent back in time from the people that, were still alive. It's sort of like the world gets erased.
Okay.
And that is the timeline that is recovering from where everything went to shit. And then there is the Fallen Hero timeline, which is kind of like the adult timeline, but in that time, Link lost.
Okay.
So Ganon is in power, and now there's these 3 timelines, right? So on the Fallen Hero timeline branch, you have A Link to the Past, which is the second game that came out in the series.
Right.
Link's Awakening. Oracle of Season, Oracle of Ages, which are games that came out for the Game Boy Advance, I think, if I remember correctly. And then A Link Between Worlds. And then Triforce Heroes, which I don't even know what it is. And then The Legend of Zelda, which, by the way, is the very first game. And then Zelda 2, which takes place immediately after The Legend of Zelda. And then after Zelda 2, things were fine. In the Child Link timeline, you have Majora's Mask.
Okay.
Which I played some of.
Yeah, and then Four Swords Adventure. And if you remember, Majora's Mask, it starts pretty much immediately after Ocarina of Time has finished, right? Like, there is a continuity within this game.
Yes.
And then there's Four Swords Adventures. And that's it, because, like, in the Child Link timeline, things were fine. Things never went to shit, so there isn't too much that needs to be done.
Right.
Oh, also Twilight Princess, actually. I forgot about that.
Which I also played a little bit of.
Yeah, that works. That happens later. in the Adult Things timeline, there is the Wind Waker. Like, basically, in the Adult Things, the story is that in order to prevent Ganondorf from just take over, they flooded the world. The goddesses flooded the world.
Right.
So you have the Wind Waker, and then Phantom Hourglass, and then Spirit Glass.
Right. Which are all very water-based.
Yes. And then what happened is the last game, Breath of the Wild, takes place. Basically, the idea is that, look, we are several millennia after all of this nonsense, and there's all of these cycles of Ganon being reincarnated and Link's being reincarnated, and the people of the world have kind of lost track of them. So it's just not possible to know even what timeline they're for, because like there is these like cycles that keep repeating. So like this is after all of that, and this is the final reincarnation of Ganon. But yeah, that is how bizarre the timeline of Zelda is, because they made the decision of trying to make the games work in some chronological way.
Yeah. Well, and you know, it's always hard, particularly in game or, you know, other types of major studio productions. And a lot of those early games, you know, like we were talking about earlier, these were not produced with an enormous amount of money, and they were not produced by enormous studios. And so none of this stuff was planned out. Like,
A Link to the Past is a first-party title.
What's that?
Sorry, all the Legend of Zeldas have been first-party titles.
Yeah, but okay, what did a first-party title mean? In, you know, when did the first Zelda game out? 95?
Wait, I was going to guess 88.
Oh, really? That early?
Have your answer right here.
Yeah, 86.
There you go.
Yeah. So, you know, how many folks do you think were working on that game in 86?
12.
Yeah.
I say, without having any actual idea of how many folks worked on that game. I just say the random number with the utmost certainty and hope it would be good enough.
Yeah, I'm trying to see if I can even find an answer for that, but like, I can't imagine that was a massive studio working on video games in '86.
I mean, it's still an NES game, right? Like,
I mean, I get that, but like,
we're still talking about like a relatively late generation. Like, we're talking about on a third or fourth generation console, right? Like,
okay, but like, you know, in the way that Steamboat Willie was third or fourth generation cave painting.
I mean, if you were like, no, I mean, don't get me wrong. Like, I get what you're saying. I don't believe that we are talking about a game that was worked on by like 3 people, but it probably wasn't a gigantic studio. But
Yeah,
this is still, you know, a
Not the way
game that was coming out for the best console of its time from
Yes.
the best company of its
Studio.
time. You know?
Oh yeah, I mean, this was certainly a big deal for the people who created it, and it was certainly a big deal for the studio that produced it and the company that spawned it. But at the same time, video games were not, pulling down major motion picture budgets in '86.
That's fair. Especially because there was the big crash. There was the big video game crash in like '83, right? So
yeah. Do. Which was largely, which was bookended by a video game that was basically created by one guy.
I mean, that was like Atari, right? That was like famous for having these games that would be made by one guy and then just not credit said guy.
Yeah, I mean that was pretty much the ET Atari game was made by one person, which is bonkers.
There was that is how, what is it, like the first Easter egg to ever appear in a game?
I think that is widely considered to be the first Easter egg. Yeah.
It's not in the ET game, but it is in an Atari game.
You know, my favorite Easter egg of all time, and the reason why it's my favorite is because it's one of the first Easter eggs that I literally stumbled upon myself without anyone telling me that it was there.
Mm-hmm.
And that was in Morrowind. There's a cave that you can find that has a skeleton that's been crushed under a rock.
Okay.
And that skeleton has like a letter clutched in its hand. And if you read the letter, it makes it pretty clear that it's Indiana Jones.
Oh, yeah, I think I remember that.
And I was just like, that's cool. I mean, that's one of those things that just like, you could tell somebody was having a good day at the office when they decided to write that out and pitch it. All right. Well, I'm going to hit it. Well, it was good talking to you, man.
Oh, yeah. So, Adventure for the Atari 2600 was the game that included the first ever Easter egg. It's considered to have included the first ever Easter egg. I don't remember even what it said, but the story there is that the main developer, Warren Robinet, basically put it in the game to spite Atari because Atari would not credit him. So yeah, it says created by Warren Robinet. That's everything it says.
That's awesome.
Yeah, he just wanted attribution. All right,
That's
man.
amazing. And just like hid that in there.
Yeah, you have to like perform some sort of a series of actions that normally you wouldn't, right? I don't remember, but like
I love that. I mean, that's There's so much like medieval like manuscript illuminations where the monks that were copying this stuff over and over and over again would like hide things in the illuminations.
There's like amanuensis Easter eggs. Is that what you're telling?
Yeah, I mean Easter eggs have been around as long as humans. So like there would be one letter in red on each page, and then when you read it all out, it's like, I'm really tired of copying this shit.
but in Latin still.
yeah. Love that. All right, man.
Which I mean makes sense. You would be really tired, like.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, over and over and over again, and especially like, think of monks as being like, that this was sort of like, back in those days when there is absolutely no separation between the divine and the profane, like the idea that someone would go into the monkhood because they are just like super dedicated to religion. Okay, like maybe 1 in 4, and I'm probably being generous.
Yeah. No. Like, I think 1 in 4 is very generous. That was probably the minority. Most people would go into the monkhood either for political reason or to like survive.
Exactly. Because if they didn't go and do this life, they were going to starve to death. So like, So the idea that someone would be sitting there painstakingly copying something by hand and be really salty about it, like that's only weird to us because of our like current interpretations of what monks are supposed to be.
Yeah, like again, like I would say that the main reason that people would become monks is a lot of people were just in for it because the church would feed you.
Yeah.
And a relative minority was in it because they there were a number of people that basically assume, not necessarily monks, but like people would assume religious churches as a political move, right? Because for whatever reason, the main track of inheriting their family, whatever, was precluded to them because they were the second or third son.
Yes.
Like, wasn't it a thing that, like, in Europe, like every third son would go to the church or something, like in
that
Germany?
Was, like, primogeniture is, it can be overstated. Like, the edges on that were a little bit wobblier than most people assume.
Yeah, I'm sure.
I think a lot of people assume, okay, firstborn definitely gonna inherit everything. Secondborn, might get some dregs, and then third son is on their own. But, like, people understood that there were some practicalities to this system, and most of the time it was not enforced anywhere near as strictly as you might imagine. So there are a number of instances where first sons actually would be forced into monkhood.
Oh yeah,
because they were so crap at running
because they didn't
business.
they didn't want them to inherit whatever it was, so you would.
Yeah, if they went into the priesthood or if they went into the monkhood, they're not going to inherit. So that was a good workaround of sort of getting rid of the useless sons. So it was not necessarily the second and third sons that went into religion, depending on what the family knew about its own progeny and could kind of work the system a little bit.
I think that some countries did have this tradition that, like, every X sons you send one to the priesthood, but also I'm sure that was, not rigid. It was more like a guideline.
And so much of this stuff wasn't rigid because there's what's written into law, and then there's actually what's true on the ground.
There's laws, but then there's also customs, right? Like,
yes. And that, like, one of the things that I think is most fascinating is, looking at ownership of businesses in, like, late Renaissance England. There's, like, ownership that was allowed under the law, and then there was ownership that was understood. So women were not allowed to own businesses.
What's this guy again?
In that era, right? But when you read, like, the first-hand accounts, people talk about women-owned businesses because, like, everybody knows who owns that bar.
Like, people talk about women that are in charge of businesses, even if technically the law doesn't recognize it.
Yes, like, that's Mary's bar. Like, everyone in the neighborhood is like, that's Mary's bar.
Understands that if you want something done in that bar, you ask Mary.
Right, you ask Mary, and you go to Mary's bar, and you drink Mary's beer, and that's the place where you go and you hang out. And, like, yeah, it might be her husband's name on the deed, but, like, as far as that community is concerned, that's Mary's bar.
No, of course.
So I love that because I think it's really limiting as historians if you study only the law, because it's like the law is not how people are living their daily lives. If you studied the law in this country, you would think no one in the world, no one in the United States ever, murdered, did cocaine, or smoked marijuana.
Yeah, like, you would think that up until, like, 5 years ago, nobody had ever smoked weed or whatever.
Right. And it's just like, no, usually these laws are created in reaction to how people are actually living. All right, man.
All right. Yeah, I'll see you. I'll see you next Tuesday.
Good talking to you. And let's game again sometime.
Yeah. Talk to you next time.
All right, man.
Bye,
Have a good
man.
one.
Alright, with that taken care of, I think I will also take a short break. I'm not done streaming for the night, but like, I've been in front of this computer since 8:30, so I think what I'm gonna do is stop being in front of this computer for a little bit. I really need to use the restroom. And so yeah, I'm gonna do that, and then I'll be back. Alright. Talk to you all soon. I should probably save, shouldn't I? Alright. I'll be right back. I'll be back in like 10 minutes or so. Talk to you soon. Oh. Hey Zanti. You didn't show up at a great time. I was about to take a short break, but I'll be back in a second. Yeah. Yeah. Brr. Hey, I'm back. So we aren't gonna be doing much tonight. Just a little bit of grinding. I was saying earlier. So yeah, this is. This is gonna be what this is. Me going back and forth on these like 4 tiles until we find these idiots, and then we kill these idiots. I might try to do a little bit of grinding in the main boss, in the final dungeon too. But the monsters there are hard, so we're gonna have to see how it goes. But they're probably gonna give us a little bit more experience. The problem is that I don't know if they're gonna give us enough more experience to justify, like, because encounters against those bosses are long. So, I mean, I'm gonna go for it just because it's a little bit more enjoyable to just have an actual challenge happen. We're gonna see how bad it is, but ah, yes. What are you playing, team? Are you playing standard or something? I see. Did not even realize that that was Rosa, that's fine. I did not do a very good job. Really? I've not hated it. You end up 5 colors, so you know, that's pretty good. That was a mistake. I will be honest, part of why I'm drafting a whole bunch is that I want the Godzilla cards, but... I haven't felt that way. Like, I feel that the format is highly interactive. is the thing, right? You know, there's a bunch of like removal spells and whatnot that you can use to make sure that that you hit shop, but. It hasn't felt like terribly bomby to me either, so that's pretty good. But maybe I also haven't faced like the real bombs. But I haven't seen anything on the caliber of like a Dream Trawler, right? That like your opponent resolve a Dream Trawler, like, well, we're done here. Okay, yeah. But yeah, like, my goal is just to like try to gather as many of the Godzilla heads as possible. There's, I want to say 18 of them. I don't know that I will be able to get all of them before the draft ends, sadly. Before the thing ends, because it's only ends as like the 21st of May. It's only for a month. I like that until we talked about it, you know, last week or whatever, you weren't even aware that you could play standard leagues. Boo, it's not dead. Come on. Well, you know. Live by the Garuda, die by the Garuda. Oh, I see. Yeah, okay, that checks out. That makes sense. Yeah, I'm not sure I get the whole arena mode, non-arena mode thing. Like, that just seems like... Why? Back attack. That is bad. Kane, bring us home. Come on, Kane, one time before she goes again. Yeah, okay. Now we just need to make sure that this thing dies before... Oh, it attacked, never mind. Yeah, that's fair. That would be a good idea. Bingo, bango, and bongo. Found a stupid secret passage. Oh, it sent me on the other side. Interesting. So now I can go down. There's a bone dragon. Bone dragon. Ooh, stop attacking Rosa, you coward. So maybe this attack from King kills it. Definitely gonna die if you also attack with Rose, but Rose missed. One Kane, deal this Kane. Oh, they're fine. Yeah, I'm not surprised. Luru seems... Wait, Lurus? Wait a second. Isn't Lurus is the activated ability one? I had seen some standard control lists that were playing Yorion, which is the 20 Hz more, right? If I remember correctly. Oh, it's an enemy ambush. Yeah, I don't know which one Lurus is. Oh, Lurus pet. Wait. How though? Doesn't control like Teferi and stuff? That feels... I'm not sure that feels correct. Like, I'm sure that they're trying to play Lurus, but... Artemisers? We'll also find the staff of some sort. Also, should be as Artemisers. Stuff is bad. Okay. Can it? Let me just see. Oh, Bobble is the thing. Okay. Yeah, I had not thought about Bobble. Bobble seems pretty good. But Snapcaster is very mana intensive, right? And it feels like a lot of the value of it is to play during your opponent's turn anyway. Which is not to say, like, you know, it's not value. It definitely is value, but... Yeah, I mean... It feels like... It still feels like the value of having, like, some number of Teferis in your deck is probably higher than the value of just playing one Lure. So sure, it always starts in your hand, but... It can still die, right? You can't just revolve your whole gameplay around playing these one Lures. But, I don't know, I mean, I'm sure it's worth trying. And I'm sure, like, that it's good that people are trying it. I don't know that I agree that, like, it's gonna be necessary, like, oh, Control will just always be playing Duros from this point forward forever. I think we're gonna see. It's, like, a little early to see. Yeah, no, the hard I have been tinkering with, I've seen Andrea Mengucci post some list to that effect too, and I've been like seeing if I can get it to work is actually Jessica Yorion in standard. Which it seems good against the Gairura deck. Okay, leveled up, that's nice, but it feels like it still requires some amount of tinkering to make it good against, you know, everything else. I wonder if that's something you could also do in Modern. Because Yorion is also a better card for your control deck in general. And you definitely have some amount of redundancy in your control deck that, you know, you're not losing as much. But it does reduce the impact of your sideboard cards a lot, which in Modern is kind of paramount, so... I don't know. By the way, if you have an arena collection, I've actually been playing. The people on the Discord server, on the Highlander Discord server, have been recently playing a bunch of Arena Highlander, which yeah, pretty good. It's been a format that I thought would be garbage, and it turned out to be pretty reasonable actually. Five ethers? That's a lot of ethers. First things first, I will check what's down here. No, they surprised me. Oh, that doesn't. Good, Dredia. Oh, I missed it. I mean, definitely getting more experience from this boss, but I'm not in so much that like it's worth the anguish of how. Oh fuck, that's a boss fight. I did not. Fuck. It's fine. Everything is fine. Might not be fine. It's not fine. Oh, good. Cecil heals him with his attack. It's just what we wanted. I might have to, like, let Cecil die. Or keep him in, like, critical health in general. So that he doesn't cover other people. No, he's dead. Every card that is available on Arena, it's 100 card singleton, no sideboard. Every card that is available on Arena is legal except for Oko. Alright, Bahamut, let's do this. Mega Flare. Holy shit! This attack is awesome! Please die! Team, can I get an HP check on this white dragon fella? Yeah, it dealt 10k. It was pretty good. Right edge, we get one last attack. That wasn't it. Yeah. It's fine. It's not that big of a deal. We had saved just right in front of the... Just in front of the thing, so... This time we know what we have, what's waiting, we know what's awaiting us. We cannot have been that far away, right? Oh, it's this asshole. There you go. I can give you an invite to the server, but like it's been something I can actually play because I don't have an Arena Highlander. I don't have a Highlander deck on Moro. Plus, like, I feel that in Highlander I want people to think of me shit. Good job, Rydia. Like, I feel in Highlander at this point I have enough visibility that, like, I want people to think of me as a tournament organizer and not a player, if that makes sense. Like... Like, that's been the role that I've had. Oh, good job. Doesn't happen often, but when it does, it's always nice. I drafted the red-white control. Sorry. I drafted red-white aggro in my last draft. And, like, I thought that the deck would be garbage. And I think it might be absurd. Like, I'm currently 4-0. I haven't finished the league yet. I'm 4-1, actually. But, like, all of the games that I have won have been just not close. My opponent have just died. Ooh, dry ether, nice. Three of them. Three of them is not an easy encounter. We're gonna have to kind of get lucky here. Actually, Rosa, before we do anything, just attack. Rydia, attack this one. Oh, really? Oh, you're so good. That means we probably only tank one thing from these things. Tank it. Oh, it survived 32 life. Fuck off. I mean, all these Triathers we're dropping are pretty good. But these enemies can also drop Soma drops, which would be super opposed. Okay, it's a black garb, but there's an enemy ambush. Oh no. Oh, what the fuck is this thing? Team, I'm scared. Okay, now I'm less scared. Okay, now I'm back to being scared. We're fine. Electromagnetic radiation? Oh. Yeah, we're okay. I mean, we are kinda dying, but it's nothing that we can't take. Well, Rydia might not be able to take this. She didn't. Now, I am like relatively certain that the black garb, I already have one, and it's worse than the things that Rydia and what's her name already wearing, but we'll see. Huh? Wait a second. It's an edge equipment? Oh, so it is. Oh, never mind. Oh, this is good. That strength is rough loss, but like, look at how much defense we're getting. Wow, that's awesome for Edge. Never mind. Yeah. Let's go Black Garb. It was about time we found a better piece of armor for Edge, actually. Good job, us. And the encounter with 3 of these idiots are always super scary. right? We definitely got a lot better at tanking those hits. Yeah, I mean, you're only hatching the tail end of the stream, JPSS, so I don't think that I'm gonna be on for like too much longer. Probably like half an hour or something like that. But yeah, I'm still on for now. You know what they say, these levels ain't gonna grind themselves. I don't think anybody has ever said that. The... Sorry to hear that. We're doing some good old-fashioned grinding here. Okay, that is a huge list of cards, and you need to actually like tell them to me one at a time. I'm assuming can land there, right? Team plays Jeskai control in Jeskai like mid-range control in Highlander. So I will start with number 1. I don't think Sprite Dragon is a card that goes well in your control deck. I think it's a card that's much better in your in a tempo deck. It just gives them too much time to answer. And usually, like, the thing is that usually when I'm playing control... Oh, fuck, it escaped. Like, when I'm playing control, I don't want to spend my interaction cards defending my threats, in general. So, like, a card that is only good if it sticks on the battlefield for a bunch of turns is not something that I'm usually super interested in. Like, okay. For the record, the only cards that I am considering for Blue Moon are the Triumph, Neutralize, and Prophecy of Fire. And that's it. Those are the only cards that I'm gonna be trying, probably. I'm surprised that Edge and New Narset is in your list, honestly, from in the cards that you have seen. That seems like a card that would be pretty hyped to try. Yeah. It's definitely, it might be playable in Jeskai. In Blue Moon, I just don't have enough non-human creatures. That's my main problem. That said, the question is, how close were you to ever play Flood of Recollection in your deck? No, I haven't been on Madcap Experiment for a long time. Gonna go refresh my drink, be right back. I think tempo is like an accurate description of how I think that describes accurately your list though. Ominous just seems just too slow. Like you can play real threats, you know? Like, I'm all for too many enchantments that accrue advantage. Hell, I was one that was trying, like, I was the one that thought, like, oh yeah, we can try Firemind's Foresight in the deck. That sounds like something that could be good. That is too much. I guess it does have Cycling, so that's neat. Realistically, I do not think you should put any creature with Mutate in any control deck. Which is why, like... Yeah, I love my flash threats at all, too, but, like... The stuff that is so much better than Cedar Shiver Octopus that we're not playing. Like... Are you playing Thrix? Thrix is a card they would probably play way before I ever thought about putting Cedar Shiver Octopus in my deck. Really, no. Edge might die here. That's definite possibility. Never mind, Edge survived. Yay. And like I say that because, for example, oh, you know what I probably gonna be trying actually in Blue Moon? The Sharknado card. Great. 10 high potions. Give me some X potions. High potions are completely useless. Okay. Oh, it's Tony Stark again. Fuck. Oh, I didn't heal. I'm so out of here. Okay, maybe we're fine. Okay, let's heal this time. But yeah, I am super into like Trash Shark Typhoon. I don't know what I'll cut. But I'm also thinking of restructuring the way that my deck works anyway. I think I'm gonna abandon gifts as an option. Oh, come on, it survived. And that's gonna also like let me take out cards like mission briefings, but which were kinda garbage. Sorry. And I'm probably gonna go back to playing Strip Mine. Is the thing. Okay, now we can actually take on Tony Stark. I think. I have faith in us. I'm ready for this fate to be completely demolished immediately. Holy shit, that was much damage. We're fine, everything is fine, we just need not to use flamethrower again. Right on cue. Oh no, Rosa's still alive too? Okay, we're fine. How? No, Cecil, no. How did they play 6-3 holds because I want to do that? And B, how did you beat them? No, stop missing, you fuck! Alright, we beat Tony Stark. He dropped the cottage. Oh wow, we have a bunch of people in the chat now. JPSS, did you plug me again? I did not realize that our chat numbers have increased that much. If people are just coming from some other source, welcome to the stream. I am the Red Mage, and I play various things, but mostly Final Fantasy games. I have been... so my schedule is down there at the bottom, in case you were curious. I have been on this band of trying to play all the mainline Final Fantasy games, one after the other. This is Final Fantasy IV. I try to play a version that I'm not already super familiar with, so I'm playing the DS version because I've not finished it before. I've been lucky. I've been lucky a lot, actually. I think they've done a very good job with making sure that this game, like, you know, works out, generally speaking. And yeah, I mean that's it. We're in Final Fantasy IV, and after that's gonna be Final Fantasy V. This is the final stretch for 4. And yeah, welcome to the stream. I'm currently on the plan of streaming 3 times a week. On Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday. Tuesday is generally speaking, Tuesday I stream the tabletop role-playing sessions that I've been playing with my friends. You know, sometimes we end up doing that some other time because because for obvious reasons, you know, the logistics of putting 5 people, stop fucking missing, in the same Zoom call are what they are. Tuesday is always Final Fantasy. Sorry, Thursday is always Final Fantasy. Saturday, it's been usually Final Fantasy, but I've been trying to do a few more different things just to appeal to broader public also. My life isn't just playing Final Fantasy, I like doing a variety of things. So, last Saturday we tried having me learn, oh, Season, good job. Having me learn like the basics of a speedrun. Didn't go so well. It turns out that I hate Super Mario 64 when you're trying to go fast as much as I love the game normally. This Saturday, what I think I'm gonna do is stream some Gladiator, which is a Magic the Gathering format, and yeah, so it's gonna be what's happening. But yeah, I mean, if you're not already following me, I always appreciate a follow. I also would love, and also you can follow me on Twitter if you want just to be updated. I mean, the thing, JPSS, is that I would love to stream Canadian Highlander. It is still my favorite burn-and constructed format. The problem with that is that I do not have a deck on Moto. Whereas I own almost every card on Arena, like, period. So, like, it's a lot easier for me to stream Gladiator just because I can actually play games online. Plus, to be honest, Arena is just a better platform than Moto is, right? Like, it's just so much better. And answering team, Gladiator is the 100 card Arena singleton we were talking about before. I have no clue what you're talking about, Zanti. Please clarify. Oh, you weren't around. I don't think you were around for the role-playing session either, JPSS, which was a little bit of a shame. Because I've been trying... so we moved the... Basically, where you were here last week, right? So you know that, like, the RPG that we are playing uses cards for combat rather than... rather than you know, just dice. I mean, we still use dice, but we also use cards. And but now we moved the yeah. So we made the custom set on trees, and on trees, tries, I don't know. So yeah, we moved the card playing part on tries, and yeah, I know how it's spelled. I just don't know if it's pronounced cockatrice or cockatrice. I would say cockatrice, but like maybe I'm wrong. Either way, my point is, which means now I am able to have a card viewer. If you look at my screen in the top right, there is a card viewer that shows you what card is being played and what it does. And I was wondering if that made because I know that the role playing is like a little bit esoteric, right? Like the way that the rules work. I know that that's been a problem for some people to actually figure that out, because yeah, I mean, it's something that they've never played before, right? In all likelihood. So I was wondering if that if the card viewer helped at least some. So here is what we're gonna do now. We're gonna make a save state. We're gonna make two save states actually, because I mean, all the VODs are on YouTube, so you can take a look. I'll probably upload this VOD tomorrow and let you know. And if you feel like taking a look, like, figure it out. Like, the guy that I was hoping would be around today was Irish Lawyer. Right, I forgot that Cecil. Oh, I'm just gonna. Let's not be dumb. 2. Four, I think. Six. About 10. Ah, he missed! HOP! I have no idea how much damage that did. I'm gonna assume it's 14. Wow, we're really to that point? Are they actually just reopening stuff? 18, I guess. $20. Yeah, that's what I thought. $22. $24. Alright, Lydia. It's on you. If you get to fire this behemoth, we win. Oh, good. Thanks. By the way, Mega Flare is super cool. Like, this animation is like, what the hell, man? That is nuts. That should kill. There you go. Cecil leveled up, level 73, that's good, that's dope. We got a Murasame. Yeah, I know, right? Like, if you watch all of that garbage and it doesn't kill it, you're like, what? Wow, you got 5 whole attack power on top of the previous one. Good job. I guess we also get 3 strength, so that is gonna increase the damage at least a little bit. With that said, we're just gonna warp back to the beginning. We're gonna use a freaking cottage. Gonna drain our GNT, and I was gonna call it a day, but I'm kinda feeling it. Gonna save for sure, but I think I'll go back in for a little bit more, you know. Oh no, more idiots. By the way, I will say this much. If you haven't been tuning to our tabletop role-playing session... Oh, I need to re-equip Cecil with the Excalibur, actually. I really recommend that you at least you tune in to when we finish, because Steve, one of our players, Steve, and I have been just doing this thing where we just start talking about random nonsense for like, you know, half an hour or so after we're done. And we always end up talking about the most bizarre stuff, and it's honestly like... Steve is a very interesting person. Like, thinking I'm a pretty interesting person, so like, you know, if you like the... What's his luck now? Llama. Oh yeah, no, his luck is still 7. We have not leveled up since last time. We are going to level up, I believe, after next session, because we're at the end of this narrative arc. And a lot of the goal of what we're trying to do was to basically try and get to No, this thing surprised us. Like a lot of what we're doing with this specific campaign, right, is I didn't freaking equip Cecil. Is to essentially just give this like superhero system like a very like quick test run to make sure that like anything works with Sprite. Oh, the dragon. Yeah. The Bone Dragon sprite is pretty rad. I'm 100% with you on that. I think my favorite that we have been in recent memory is is Tony Stark, but oh, Rydia's level 69. Nice. Which is like you're just like minding your own business and then suddenly Tony Stark attacks you, but oh, it's a Bone Dragon again. It's our friend the Bone Dragon. Man, oh, for fuck's sake, I still haven't reviewed Cecil. The monsters in the dungeon hit like trucks. Like, this is not... no bueno. Alright, fair enough. I'm probably gonna stop. Oh, Rosa's level 69 now. Nice. I'm probably gonna stop playing too pretty soon, honestly. I'll probably gonna be streaming Gladiator on Saturday, honestly. So if you want to challenge me, I've been trying to. So the deck I've been playing is Blue-White Control. I haven't been able to make the Jessica Control or Esper Control mana work, which is why I haven't liked it. Granted, a lot of people have been coming at me with like 5-color decks and whatnot, but I think that's fake. Like, I think that I'm seeing them making their mana ham together. I'm seeing their mana ham together because I'm not punishing them for when they stumble, because, you know, the game will last until turn 30 billion, regardless of what they do, right? With how my deck works out. So I think that that's why I said those mana work. I think that if they were playing against like a bunch more of red aggro decks, the situation would be a lot different. There's a bunch of deck lists that have been posted on the on the Discord, so I would recommend checking there. Rydia with the paralyzed! Rydia's so good! No, we have. It used to be there, but now we have an actual Gladiator Discord. Let me DM you a link on the Discord arena. There you go. I think I've just not been using Rosa enough, because, like, she actually deals a decent amount of damage. But Prey is so good. Drop some more Dry Ether. Alright. Oh, 79%? What am I missing? Oh, look at all those goodies. Okay, okay. I'm picking up what they're putting down. Waking up before 4 PM is overrated. But yeah, I'm also gonna stop soon. I don't have too much time left. I think I'm gonna try to see if I can get those chests that were over here and aha. up. Attack up. Attack down. Attack up, I guess. And yeah, attack up. Good job, Cecil. Please get rid of this thing before it attacks us. And now it's just a rush. Really needed you not to miss there. But we got there anyway. Dragon Helm. Okay, I'm into the Dragon Helm. But definitely I'm going to give it to him because we already have. Yeah. We don't need more of one dragon items on every person. Oh, that's lethal. Why is everybody missing all of a sudden? Cecil, please. Okay, we limped our way to the end of the encounter somehow. Dragon Main. Again. Kind of into giving the Dragon Mail to Kane because Kane is more vulnerable than Cecil. Like I want Cecil to have one piece of Dragon Armor because then he can he enjoys the halving stuff, but. Okay. Fine. Oh, there you go. X potions. Don't bring it to that. Dragon Balls. Wait a second. Can Edge wear the Dragon Clothes? He cannot. Alright. Oh, that's a pretty sweet suit of armor that we found. Not gonna lie. Okay. I was about to say how I had spent a lot of time without encounter. Oh shit. No, 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 no. Alright. Yeah, but it's fine. We don't care about Gil. Magic Rosa. Red. Doesn't look like we're anywhere close to the end of this dungeon. So I think that might be time to call it a night finally. Which I've been saying for now. That was terrible. Oh good, she's dead. Oh, they give us some HP back. Please raise Iridium. Oh, good. If at any point Kane felt like showing up also, I wouldn't hate it. Let me put it that way. Oh, hi Kane. Thanks. Oh no, flamethrower is the one thing I didn't want to see. That's kinda bad. I mean, I'll attack it when I'm out of here. I'm gonna go see what's up here. Ooh, a chest. Artemis, I have like 3 of them! There's only one person who can use bows in the whole game! To be fair, I dropped the other ones. The reason I'm still going, honestly, is that I feel that there is supposed to be a save point somewhere. Like, it feels like there should be a save point pretty soon. I mean, maybe there isn't, and maybe I'm just an idiot. Oh, good. I must say, this development, like basically every other enemy in the endgame, is a freaking dragon. Not a fan. Please, please. Their attack dealt 600 damage to Cecil and 1700 to Edge. It was 3 times as much. Oh, for fuck's sake. Yeah, that's okay. Please next time don't be so much of a dink, but... I don't even know why I heard the fact that he was mute, because it's not like he has anything that mute inhibits. 4 steps. Hi, Tony. Have you considered not having 28k HP next time you encounter me? Just putting it out there, you know? Should not even have attack with those. It's okay. We're making headway, we're gonna heal this thing. Done. Alright. Edge, level 67! Nice. It's gonna be more nice in like a couple of levels. I am sure that there is a save point in here, right? This smells like a save point too. There's a chest. Let's see. So that wasn't it. Oh boy, it's these two assholes. The encounter is going weirdly well. This is the place where, like, it turns out that I have talked to someone, but... I mean, a lot of things could still go wrong. A lot of things went wrong. Could you die, please? I feel like I've been hitting you a good amount of times. We're at 32 HP. Gain's level 66, so that's good. Only his stamina went up, so that's less good, but you know. There's a save point, please. Oh, I didn't. Alright. Magic, Rosa, Raise, Edge, Caesar, Cure, Punch. Okay, the encounter is a lot easier. Crystal's about to get to level 74, which is super dope. Right, that was not worth the detour at all. Are these things good? Oh, I should be up, by the way. Like, maybe I'm missing out. I don't think I've used a single Fang in the entire playthrough. Oh, really? Every time you paralyze something, it's amazing. Could you do it like all the time, please? The meeting keys. Cecil doesn't quite level up. Explosion. Speaking of things that are worth it. Oh wow, they dealt the exact same damage of 2637. Cecil Sid doesn't level up because his encounter was lame. Stardust Rod, it's an enemy ambush. What are these rods for? They suck. It's both. Okay, well, we're a lot more, we were able to hit these things back in the day, and now we're a lot more leveled up than that, so... It's still hard, like, the defense. I will summon Bahamut, because, as the kids say, fuck it. Meow. I will throw a shuriken at you. Taste it. Medic. I'll go. King could have used some healing too, but here comes Bahamut. Mega Flare! Good job, Kate. Medic. I will also summon Bahamut again. First because the animation is awesome, and second because... This thing is about dead. Despite this kind of a race between Edge, yeah, good job, Edge. Okay. Maybe Cecil and Rose all leveled up. Nice. Good job, you guys. Imagine this Stardust Road is still garbage. I mean, these are weapons for Tella. I don't understand. Sorry, for Tella, for Fusoya. I don't understand why I'm keeping finding these Fusoya weapons. For complete 3 tries. Pretty much no matter what, though, at this point, I'm just not interested in exploring another floor. So if I find... yeah, okay. And doing that... So here's what we're actually gonna do. We're gonna pour it out. We're gonna use a cottage, we're gonna save. 30? That was not how I expected. And I think that we are reasonably leveled up, that we can make a reasonable push to end the game next next time. So yeah, let's tune in at the earliest on. Maybe Saturday, maybe I don't know when the next time we're gonna play Final Fantasy is, but like it's gonna be when we finish this game. So just tune in to all of my streams, I guess. And with that though, I am going to say bye. Go to get some sleep. Thanks everybody for showing up. I will talk to you all next time. Bye.